there's this misconception about what being healthy is about. And it's also, I didn't realize, I'm like, all right, I'll lose 20 pounds and that's the end of it. It's not at all. How do you maintain the weight? What do you do? That kind of a thing. And that's where the mindset comes in too. When you want to change something about your life, you change your mindset to do it. And you have to keep that mindset shift and always be learning and always be growing.
Welcome to YourBrilliance.com. I'm your host, Amy Waterman. Would you agree that it is hard to be healthy? You have to give up so much. Basically, you have to give up anything that could give you the tiniest bit of pleasure, like chocolate or steak. And you have to replace all that yummy stuff with dry, tasteless stuff like celery and tofu. It's like either you can be happy or you can be healthy, but you can't be both. Well, our guest for today disagrees completely. She thinks that we can have our cake and eat it too. Caren Cooper is a wellness consultant who helps people understand that being healthy is a lifestyle, not a life sentence. After struggling for years, she started her own wellness journey back in 2015 and was amazed to discover a system that worked. She dropped 20 pounds and went from being a mom who felt sick and tired all the time to being an energetic, motivated, and positive mom who now helps others look and feel their best. Welcome, Caren.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. I appreciate you letting me have the time today.
Well, I'm going to talk about your journey. So take us back to before 2015. What was your life like back then?
Oh God. My life was very different. I thought I was happy in a way, I think. But I was definitely playing the victim card really well. I thought life happened to me, not for me. My kids were younger at the time. They're 18 and 13 now. And so I was kind of like, I was overwhelmed. I thought there wasn't a lot of time in the day. There was a lot of running around like a chicken without a head kind of a thing. And I really could care less about what I put into my mind, body, anything. And I was a smoker, actually. Before I was a smoker, I quit smoking 7 years ago, but I was a smoker for a long time. So I was that person who really didn't care. That's the truth. That's who I was.
What made you decide to change then?
I had reached my breaking point. I think it really what it was. I quit smoking about 3 years prior to starting my health journey. I had started exercising and I'd seen the people that I exercised with sort of transform their bodies, but their minds and everything else. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I always thought it was hokey. I really did. I thought it was hokey. And I think I finally just reached my breaking point. I thought I would feel better after I quit smoking. And I really didn't. Like, I didn't feel that much better 3 years after I quit smoking. I'm like, why am I not feeling so great? I don't smoke anymore. And it turns out it was actually what I was feeding, not just my mind, what I was doing to my body is really what it was. So I finally was like, I'm just done. I'm just done feeling this way. I need something. I just needed something.
So what did you do next?
I went to my friend and I'm like, okay, I know that you're doing this program. And I'm like, I think it's time for me to start. I really think it's time for me to start. And she's like, well, before you spend the money, she gave me samples first, what she did. So I tried, it's a shake and I tried it and I like lost my mind because it's not like pasty and icky. And it was actually tasted like a real milkshake, but it was good for me. I was like, okay, I'm all in. And so I bought a 30-day program and within 3 days, I'm not even kidding you. I was like, oh my God. And it turned out it wasn't just about the weight loss. I lost the weight, but I gained so much more. I gained energy. I gained clarity. I gained personal development, which I thought was hokey, which apparently is not so much.
So this was not just about what you were eating. This was about a complete transformation.
Yeah. Initially, to be honest, I had no idea about anything else. For me, initially, it was all about I needed to lose 20 pounds. I hated the way I looked in pictures. I was just done with that. What I didn't know it encompassed was everything else, was the personal development. Because the truth of the matter is, yeah, I wanted to lose weight, but if I had kept my old mindset and my old habits, it wasn't going to work. Like nothing, and it doesn't matter whatever it is that you do with health and wellness, it's not going to work if you don't change your mindset, period. I mean, and I know I sound a little harsh, but it's true. And I didn't know that. Like for me, it was like, you know what, let me just eat healthy. that is, the 80-20 rule, that is true. It's 80%, what you eat. It's 20% about exercise. But you know what I found was, because I started doing personal development, I was no longer playing the victim card. And by the way, I didn't want to be with anybody who was playing the victim card. And I started to parent differently too. So it kind of translated all into what I was like. I mean, look, at the core, I'm a very sarcastic, funny person. That's just who I am. And that won't ever change. But I looked at things a lot differently. That's what it became. And my kids have a term for it and everything like that. It's like hilarious. But I even parent them differently. And I think because of it, I parent better. I mean, look, I'm not perfect, but nonetheless, I think it's just a different form of parenting.
So what are then the pieces of the wellness puzzle? We've got nutrition, we've got exercise, we've got mindset. Anything else?
I think money, to be honest with you, comes into play. And one of the pieces also is putting yourself first, which I know that kind of lends, I think that's all of it, and I don't think, and it's habits. It's, mindset is also partly habit, but I think habit is also, and being true to yourself. I know people say that all the time about being authentic and things like that. You don't have to, at the core, I didn't change. At the core, I am still who I am. It was what I was thinking and how I viewed things and how I decided to learn from things, how things were happening for me rather than against me. And what can I learn, even when bad things happen, what can I learn from them? So that's kind of what it is.
So that's amazing, because usually when we think of health and wellness, we think of nutrition and exercise and maybe sleep and supplements.
Right.
Nobody talks about mindset. So what is then the shift? You've given us some pieces. It's about shifting from a victim mindset. What are the pieces of the mindset shift from how you were before to kind of a healthy mindset?
It's all about, personal, like I like Mel Robbins, I like Tony Robbins, Rachel Hollis, that kind of a thing. It's really putting your mind to doing something. A lot of times we don't want to change, we don't want to do something because it's messy, or we're comfortable where we are, like the comfort zone, whatever you want to call it, quote unquote. But you know what? The thing is, what I came to realize is that it is messy and it's hard. To be honest, I mean, call spade a spade. It's hard. But the fact of the matter is, if you really want to make that change, you'll get through that hard. And also, you have to put yourself first to fill your cup. Because you know what? I was feeling that overwhelmed. I wasn't saying no to people. I was doing things for everybody else. And now I do for me first. And because I do for me first, I don't feel the overwhelm. I don't feel like, I have to say yes to something and that kind of a thing. I feel empowered. So I can go out and empower others because of it. So that kind of was the shift for me. I was always saying yes to people. I lost people as friends because I didn't want to be around people. It was just organic. Like, it just so happened that it was a huge shift for me. And in terms of my parenting, I started to listen to my kids more. Instead of, just do as I say, not as I do kind of parenting. I was like, oh, you know what? I hear what you're saying. Maybe we could work together. You know what I mean? And like, yes, I'm still the parent, but they have a voice also. And even when my son like is torturing me and is like, oh my God, keeps asking me questions, I'm like, I appreciate your gumption, which I think is awesome. But at the same time, how about you still listen to what I'm saying? So it's a little bit of a different in that aspect too, which I had no idea was going to happen.
It's amazing because, again, we think of the wellness journey as being so limited to just nutrition and exercise. And it's so true, though, because would you say then that developing this new mindset is what helped you stick to your health and wellness journey? Because a lot of people do lose motivation.
I think 100%, well, I shouldn't say 100%. Part of it is 100% is part, let me try that again and speak English. And don't edit this out because it's fun. But yeah, part of it is mindset, but it's also who you surround yourself with. That was another thing I didn't realize also. So who is your community? Who can you talk to about things when you are, because listen, there are days you're not going to be positive every day. Life happens. Things happen. That's just the way of the world. How do you deal with it? Who can you talk to? So that's definitely part of it, how I stayed motivated. And it was something, people talk about your why and things like that. That's part of it. But like, I'm setting small little goals. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm looking at things that I want. And that's kind of what helps me stay motivated. Accountability is huge. We actually had a call about this last night on my team, about the fact that you have to have an accountability partner. You have to talk to somebody who's going to be like, listen, I know things are happening right now, but even if you just do this one thing, or you know what, take 5 minutes. Hal Elrod talks about this in his book, The Miracle Equation. He talks about giving himself 5 minutes. He actually literally sets a timer. And I actually started doing this practice too. And I never did. Like, I would wallow in my misery for days, and overthink everything. And I was that person. I was truly that person. And you know what? Some days, yeah, there are some days I'm not motivated, and some days I do wallow. And I give myself the grace to have those days, knowing that tomorrow it'll be a better day. And I make sure, and I wake up, I do a morning routine. Like, I do Mel Robbins' morning routine. I don't look at electronics. I actually started implementing that. I started doing, what 3 good things happen a day, things I'm grateful for, things I never, ever, ever did before. And I actually, had my son do it. My daughter's 18. She's a little bit more challenging and stubborn. But my son, I'm like, you're 13. Something good had to have happened. So I kind of implemented that in our dinner conversations also. Like, what one good thing? And the good thing could be you had a great conversation with somebody. It's as simple as that, because we don't look for any of that, and we don't have time. Well, you have to, you know what? You don't have to watch so much TV, that kind of a thing. It's switching around, switching around the mindset and realizing, you know what, you do have the power. You do. You just don't realize it.
So what I'm really amazed is this transformation, because that is not what you were like before 2015. And I want to know what your family said about their new mom.
They're like, who are you? There initially was, to be honest, there was pushback big time from my husband, from my family. There was not a lot of support in the beginning, because it wasn't understood. And I also didn't bring them into it. But now that I've kind of brought them into it, and we kind of talk together as a family, I've seen, my daughter will never admit it, but I've seen her, navigate certain things, even when we were doing the college process, a little bit differently because of it. So, she's like, she make the face like, oh, I hate you, kind of a thing, like as a joke, because, she, listen, kids don't want to listen to their parents when they're teenagers. Let's call a spade a spade. So my family now kind of understands, and they'll call me out on it too, which is great. So when I'm human, I will sometimes revert to an old habit, and they're like, wait a minute. And they call me out on it. So that's kind of where it's an interesting dynamic that I didn't understand was going to be a component of this. And I think it's a pretty cool component of it too.
Well, it is, because you started out your wellness journey for yourself. You started it out because you weren't feeling as good as you thought you should be feeling. And now it's spread to your family.
Yeah. And other people too. I mean, just the way I am with others is completely different too. Oh, I've always been the therapist for other people, but that's just always my role. But just the way I view different people, I'm more adapt to, you never know what's going on behind closed doors, kind of a thing. So the way people are acting may be a result of something that we don't know anything about. So I'm more adept to being a little bit more patient with people than I used to be, for sure.
And now you've also started coaching as well to help other people in their wellness journey.
Yeah. It's one of my fun things. I love talking to people about it. I love sharing it with others, because I kind of feel like nobody realizes that it's not such a terrible thing. And it's not a one size fits all thing either. And, I talk the good, bad, and the ugly, because I think it's important to know that, people are human, and we have good days, bad days, and things happen to us, and we're not all perfect. But yeah, I coach others because, at the root, it's we all want to be healthy. We all want to feel well. We just don't know how, I think, to go about it. And there's so much out there. There's so much information out there. And we just also sort of don't know what to do with that information. So I kind of just talk to people about, like, even we just set weekly goals or even daily goals. It's not about, yes, there is a bigger goal, but it's about the small little increments. And why do you want to do something? What is it that makes you want to do this? And the community that surrounds you and all of that stuff. It's just been an amazing, incredible journey. And it's all about helping others. And, there's a money component to it too, which is an added bonus. But, the helping others is just, when people tell me I lost weight, or people tell me, oh my God, I view things differently, or something transformed in them, it gives me such a high. It's phenomenal. It's awesome. It's the best feeling.
So you have this phrase, being healthy is a lifestyle, not a life sentence. Tell us about that.
Because I feel like so many people I talk to, well, what if I stop doing, this supplement or whatever it may be? And I'm like, well, don't go back to your old habits, and a lot of people think I'll lose the 20 pounds and that's it. Or they think they have to, like in the beginning, you were talking about having to eat celery or bland foods. And everybody thinks that it's, there's this misconception about what being healthy is about. And it's also, I didn't realize, I'm like, all right, I'll lose 20 pounds and that's the end of it. It's not at all. How do you maintain your weight? What do you do? That kind of a thing. And that's where the mindset comes in too. When you want to change something about your life, you change your mindset to do it. And you have to keep that mindset shift and always be learning and always be growing. I talked to my son about this the other day about studying. And I'm like, we're always studying. In life, we're always studying. We're always learning. We're always growing. And that's what I don't think people realize. You don't have to give up bland food. You don't have to eat bland food. I didn't know this either, to be honest. I was totally one of those people who was under misconception. We have a Facebook group of these recipes. This one woman, I'm like, could you please, for the love of God, open a restaurant? Because she makes these ridiculous meals. And then they're completely healthy for you. Another one I know, she does now meal prep for everybody. Like she made a meal prepping business, for people for like the weekend, things like this. And it's amazing what she makes, like stuffed shells and like all of these things that we eat, crappy, if you will. But there's just so many different versions of it, and I don't think people realize. And listen, you and I talked about this. Every year, my birthday, I have ice cream, Carvel ice cream cake with crunchies, because it's the best thing ever. And I show people that I have this, because you can have your cake and eat it too. Because guess what? So what? I had cake on my birthday. Big deal. The next day, you go back and just do what you were doing before. And I don't think people realize it. It's not about depriving yourself. It's actually quite the opposite. It's about filling your own cup. It's about it's like a marathon, not a sprint. That's how you liken it to. And that's why I say it's a lifestyle, not a life sentence, because I feel like people are like, oh, I have to do this. I really don't want to. Or, what they're giving up. What they don't realize is what they're actually gaining. And that's why I talk about it being a lifestyle, not a life sentence, because it's literally not the worst thing in the world. 4 years in, and I'm still as pumped up about it as I'll ever be.
That's fantastic. And for those of you watching, if you want to connect with Caren and you want to learn more about her coaching, we have a link for you. Just go to yourbrilliance.org/Caren. That's yourbrilliance.org/CAREN. Caren, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And I wondered if you had any last message you'd like to leave our viewers with.
Yeah, I actually have a few. Please realize, put yourself first is not a selfish thing. And a lot of us moms, I mean, I'm a mom, but I think a lot of women particularly, organically don't do that. I think it's just something that just happens. We sometimes just lose ourselves in our marriage and being a mom and things like that, and giving to others. And please understand, that it's really, you have to put yourself up. I learned this firsthand because I started putting myself first. It's actually not selfish. And also I think you're teaching your kids that it's okay to put yourself first and to put your needs first, because what happens is when you put your needs first, and I hate this term, but I use it all the time, you're filling your own cup. And because you're filling your own cup, you can now fill other people's cups. So I think that's very, very important to learn. And a lot of people have misconceptions about a lot of different things. Just hear people out, because, people are selling whatever and everything like that. And you know what? There's a reason behind why people are doing what they're doing. And I just think it's important to have an open mind and just listen to what people are doing and then make your decision from there. And to quote Rachel Hollis, because I love this quote, we are all made for more. I know it's hokey, but it's true. We are.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Caren. And thank you out there for watching. We hope to see you again soon. Until then, let your brilliance shine.